Today, we're looking into a question I've received quite a few times over the past few months or even years. When is it worth chasing a kill versus when should you just go for the wave? This question can't be universally answered because there are many conditional circumstances that make it really hard to make a general rule out of it. But we can look at some examples and some scenarios that will give you a decent idea of when you could look for a kill versus when you should probably just focus on the waves. For that, we first need to understand how much you get out of a single player kill. The values here have a lot of variables and they shift depending on certain circumstances. If you want to look deeper into that, I highly recommend checking out Flairboot's Word of Thoth, where this is explained in detail with all the variables that play into it. What I can tell you is that it depends on the level's target and the level's killer. This is for the XP, and if it comes to the gold, you also have to factor in if the enemy is on a killing spree and how much gold they have earned throughout the match. Depending on those values, you can get completely different benefits from a target. In either scenario, there is a benefit in killing a higher level target, and there's also a benefit in killing an enemy that has been on a killing spree or has earned a lot of gold. I just picked out some more or less random examples here that could easily happen in a normal match. The first example is a level 5 player killing another, then a level 10 player killing another level 10 player, then a level 15 player killing a level 15 player, and then a level 15 player killing a level 17 target. In the first scenario, the kill spree of the killer was 2, in the second it's just 1 kill. In the third scenario, 3 kills, and in the last scenario, it's actually 4 kills, so that's when the enemy is really ahead on a killing spree and with 2-level lead. The gold earned were 3,000, 4,500, 6,000 and 8,000. These values were also picked at random. I'm not quite sure if they're accurate for the levels, but it doesn't matter all too much in the end. You will get the picture anyways. So, if we look at the XP values here, the first scenario where you have a level 5 against a level 5, we have 200 XP, then it goes up to 350 XP, then 500 XP, and if you're against an enemy that actually has a lead, that's a 672 XP you get out of that. So, not too bad, pretty good XP value here. In terms of gold, we start at a minimum of 50 gold for a kill, and the maximum is 750. In these scenarios, we get 216 against the low level target, then 214.5 because of the lower killing spree, 273 and 386.4, but the 0.4 doesn't really matter here. So, depending on the circumstances, the gold value can shift quite drastically, and so can the XP. So that makes it really hard to say when exactly it is worth chasing a target, especially since you can't always keep track of the killing sprees an enemy had in the very moment of the fight. Sometimes you may just not know and you just have to rely on gut feeling more or less and know how many kills that guy has gotten on average, how much gold he may have had. So this is all a bit vague. Now let's compare this to the average minion wave. Now obviously in a minion wave it depends a little bit on how you share it. If you share it with one teammate or two, the value goes down, but let's just assume we're talking about taking a wave on your own here, just for ideal circumstances for you, because you would be taking the kill on your own as well. In that scenario, you get 300 XP out of a wave, 60 from each melee and 40 from each ranged minion. You get 87 gold if you don't do a single last hit and 129 gold if you get all the last hits. If we compare that to the XP values here, you can pretty much say, depending on the level of the enemy and your own level, a wave can be worth more than the single kill is in terms of XP. It could be 200 XP versus 300 from a wave, but it can also be worth a lot less. Like, a kill can be worth more than 2 waves in regards to XP. It will hardly reach 3 waves. I don't think that's actually possible. In terms of gold, the picture looks very different. Even if we assume you're getting all the last hits, which only really happens when you get instant clear, we're only talking about 129 gold. With the minimum for the gold being 50, but what you usually reach even on lower levels with a little bit of a killing spree on the enemy and some gold earned, it being around 200 already, you need roughly 2 waves. Not quite, but if we assume you don't hit last hit everyone, you will pretty much end up needing 2 waves to make up for the kill in terms of gold. So that's the start, but the more ahead the enemy is and the more he has farmed and the more kills he has, the more he becomes worth. So up to 750 gold being roughly, well, 5 to 7-ish waves depending on how well you farm. Now this is a pretty utopian scenario, you will hardly get to 750 gold, but even on 400 gold, that's solid 3 to 4 waves that you're getting there. That's why characters who really benefit strongly from getting the item build online, like hunters or assassins like Kali, really benefit from getting early kills. They get so much gold towards their build, which will really accelerate their process in the game and how well they can snowball throughout the game. You hardly want to mess with a Kali that gets 2 kills early on in the game. But that's not all. You also have to factor in that if you kill an enemy, you deprive them of XP and gold. They will probably miss out on at least 1 wave. It depends on the scenario and when exactly it happens, how long their death timer is and everything. But you can expect them to lose 1 to 2 waves on average. Depending on what invade potential you can also get other objectives out of it, you can get certain buffs out of it, and the benefit can be much bigger than what it looks like on paper. This all has to be factored in. So if we really want to talk averages here, killing an enemy is worth 2 to 3 waves, depending on how you want to factor in the fact that the enemy loses a wave and that you may get objectives off the kill. Now, if you really chase for a long time, you may miss out on 2 waves. It can actually happen, but it's not that often the case if you try to position yourself efficiently to get back to the wave in time. What the other question in this regard is when is it worth risking dying for a kill? And that's where it becomes a lot more critical, because if you actually have to tower dive for it, you should be ahead enough to afford losing multiple waves if you die, plus the punishment in regards to the gold that the enemy gets, the XP that the enemy gets if they kill you, and everything else that comes in with it. So in the end, it is a choice that you have to make yourself, but you know the rough numbers around it now, and you know how these numbers can change. If an enemy is already snowballing and you see a last-ditch effort in killing them instead of going for your wave because you see that there may be some kill potential, then you can get a lot of gold out of that and a lot of XP potentially if they out-leveled you and maybe come back into the game. But at the same time, it also can get them even further ahead if you don't evaluate the risk properly and die for it. With that, thank you guys for watching. I hope this gave you a bit of an insight in this topic, even though it's not possible to fully cover that for all scenarios. I hope you enjoyed this regardless. If you're not subscribed yet, feel free to click that sub button and maybe the bell. It really helps me out. I also haven't mentioned my Twitch channel in a long time, so if you want to check out my Twitch, it's twitch.tv/DukeSloth, now with a lot less salt than before. See you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth, out.